The intended goal of this video is to familiarize you with the reports available in PowerTeacher Pro. The design of PowerTeacher Pro encourages online access as opposed to printing. It is easily accessible by a smartphone or tablet, so if parents do not have computer access at home, most have a smartphone and/or a tablet. When parents access their children's grades online, the data is as up-to-date as you've entered it. When using printed reports, the data could easily change by the time the parent reads the report. This should be communicated to parents whenever possible. PowerTeacher Pro offers a selection of reports to assist you in daily classroom activities as well as assessing student performance. You can generate reports for all students who are enrolled in a class, for all of your students who are enrolled in all of your classes, or for specific students. The available reports are the Individual Student Report, Multifunction Assignment Report, Scoresheet Report, and Student Roster. We'll take a look at each one of these. The first report we will look at is the Individual Student Report. This report summarizes class activity per student and can be used for progress reports, missing and late assignments, grades, assignment scores, or a summary of work for parent-teacher conferences. Start by going to the Reports charm and choose Individual Student Report. On the Criteria tab, give the report a name in the field provided. Select your class or classes. If you've given your class a custom name, you can choose to use that. You can choose to include your students' full schedule, and you can choose to separate the report by student if you are printing your reports. Under your sort options, you can choose by student or by section by student. Choosing by student will save you paper. Choose how you want your students' reports sorted. Choose how you want assignments to appear. Under data, choose what you want to be included in the report. The more you include, the more paper the report will require. I'm going to leave it at course grades and attendance, assignments, and category totals. You can choose whether you want percentages to show and whether you want assignments with no data to show. For the date range, if you've chosen to include assignments, you can choose a manual date range. For final course grade, you would choose the quarter. When I look at assignment date range, you see I have the option of manual or Q1 because we're in Q1. Because I had assignments chosen in my data, I can choose a manual date. So if you want to send home a report just showing 1 week's assignments, you could do that by including assignments and setting those dates. You can choose whether or not to display category totals for a term. Under data filters, you can filter the attributes, missing, late, incomplete, so forth. You can filter certain scores and ranges. You can filter categories, and you can filter course grades. So I'm going to scroll back up, and now I'm going to go to the Students tab. By default, just like assignments, this report applies to all students. If I wanted to just add or remove a few students, if I wanted to send it for 1 or 2 students, you can choose the Add Remove Students tab just like you did when creating an assignment. And by the way, you can include dropped students if you need to do a report for a student that has been dropped. Now we're going to move to the Format tab. You can choose landscape or portrait. The output of this particular report is only PDF. You can choose page breaks and saving ink. You have the option to include a top note and a bottom note and a signature line. So I encourage you to look at all settings, check the orientation, changing it to portrait, to see what you can do to make it look the way you want it to do. You'll really have to play around with this. Once you've completed all of your settings, choose Run Report, and it's going to do whatever your settings in your computer have told it to do in your browser. I have mine set to save the file, so I would do that, and that's what it would do. Now let's look at the multifunction assignment report, which lists students and scores per assignment. You can use this report to find missing, incomplete, and late assignments, as well as view grades. You can also use this report to help students and parents keep up with classwork, to target students who need extra help, or to gauge which assignments present the most challenges to students. To access the report, go to Reports Charm and choose Multifunction Assignment Report. On the Criteria tab, enter a title for the report in the field provided. Select your class or classes. Again, you can use the custom name. You can choose how you want your students sorted. You can choose how you want the assignments sorted. You can choose what data you want to include. You can do a manual date range with this report, and you have data filters here. Moving to the Students Report or the Students tab, again, it applies to all students, but you can select individual students or select to exclude some students by using the Add Remove Students tab. You can include dropped students. Format, again, your choices are landscape and portrait. PDF is the only output. You can include a top note and a bottom note. Once ready to run the report, click Run Report, and the report will run and open according to your computer settings. Let's move on to the Scoresheet report. Run the Scoresheet report to generate a spreadsheet-style summary of student grade and assignment data. You can use this report to view final grades for all reporting terms, as well as assignments that are within a specific date range for all students. For the Scoresheet report, go to Reports and choose Scoresheet. The same three tabs. You can enter a report title in the field provided. Choose your class or classes. Custom name. Choose your student field, whether you want name or number. Your sort options. Your categories. Reporting terms, and date range. And again, you can do a manual date range for this. The Students tab will allow you to include or exclude students. Format, landscape or portrait. This does output as an Excel file if you want to use it. So if you're going to do any manipulation of those scores, then choose to output to Excel. Exclude row shading. If this is checked, this will always save ink. You can include a top note and a bottom note. Once ready, you're going to click Run Report. The final report that we'll look at is the Student Roster Report. This is the same report that has always been in PowerTeacher Gradebook. It lists student information on a class roster. Demographic information is listed one row per student. You can use this report to generate a list of information by class. By adding blank columns and naming them to fit your needs, you could use this report to keep track of money collected for field trips or as an emergency contact list when you're on a field trip. To access the report, go to Reports and choose Student Roster. Same three tabs as the other reports. You can give the report a title in the field provided. Select the class or classes you want to include. You can use a custom class name, choose how you want your students' names to appear on the report, and choose the information you want on the report. So I'm going to use this to make a list of chaperones for a field trip. I want the chaperones to have the important information that they need. Now I'm going to go back and add a blank column, and I'm going to name that chaperone. You can use the arrows to organize the fields of information the way you want them to appear. Once finished with the criteria, move to the Students tab. Again, you can include or exclude students. This report will format as PDF or Excel. So if you're going to want to manipulate data, Excel is always a good choice. Same options to save ink, include a top note, a bottom note, and then run the report.